Good morning and welcome to another great edition of Money Truth Moments with our very own Money Truth expert and Money Whisperer, Judy Copenbarger. How are you?
I'm great. Good morning. What a great morning. We've got rain, spring rain. So excited. That's going to make all the posies pop, right? And here
Yeah,
in
totally.
California, we have the state flower. What is the state flower? Puppies, right? So we're
Yeah,
going to have puppies everywhere. I love it. I love it. How are you, Carlos?
I'm doing fantastic. It's just another beautiful day, bright and early, ready to hit the road. And then, I always look forward to our show because it's a great way to start our Tuesday mornings. And speaking of which, folks, if you're just joining us for the first time, welcome. If you're not following Judy, please do so at judycopenbarger.today. All of our social media, all of the great things that are happening are relevant and to today, and you can find it there at judycopenbarger.today. So, folks, we've been on this trajectory since the beginning of the year, just some great, awesome topics. Judy has shared a lot of great wisdom. And today's no different. And actually, today is even more exciting because we get to talk about business finances, right? For all you business owners out there, how to do tax preparation and some tips for small business owners as well. So I'm excited to get started. What do you say we get going on this?
Let's go. It's that time of year, tax week for corporations. Let's do it.
So the obvious question to start this is, why is tax preparation so important for the small business community?
Well, getting it done right, it's protecting yourself, right? Because you're definitely going to be a target if you don't pay your taxes and don't get those records right. And I would say efficiency, and we can go a little deeper into the process, for efficiency. But paying taxes and or avoiding them, with legal means, is just part of doing good business. That's part of the bottom line. So it's very important.
So at over the years, you've seen a lot of. I've always asked you this. So you've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? But I'm going to ask you. So what are some of the biggest tax mistakes small business owners tend to make?
They don't keep proper records. They get stressed out about it because they don't keep proper records. And it's just a matter of having a process. They can be very simple processes. They don't have to be convoluted or hard. In a small, emerging business, once you get to a good size where there's a lot going on, or if you have manufacturing, if you have a lot of different moving parts in your business, you might want to get good tax help from the get-go. Get a professional in-house or a fractional CFO or something, to keep all those records. But when you're just starting out in a small business, there's very simple things you can do, methods you can put in place to keep the records you need and avoid all the stress about tax.
So I want you to share with some of the new listeners. You've talked about also about being very careful as who does your planning, who does your taxes, because not everybody's created equal. We talked about this. So you want to touch a little bit about that, so folks, you remind folks of what to look for.
In a professional?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
somebody that knows what they're doing. So you need to find a really good fit. And I've got several podcasts on how to do that. You want to have a good fit for everyone who's on your bench, whether it's protection like taxes and legal contracts and things, or whether it's the development and operations sides. So that's very important. And when you're looking at a tax professional, I think it's almost always better to have a CFP, I'm sorry, a CPA, rather than maybe just an enrolled agent or a bookkeeper. It really depends on the nature of your business. But the idea about a CPA, that's a certified public accountant, they have to do extra school. They have to know, they have to go a little deeper in their study. They also have continuing education requirements. So I would think they would be more likely to be up on the new credits and the new expenses and all the new laws every year that change. And back when I was in law school, I credentialed in tax, got an extra, it wasn't a degree, but like a specialization in taxation. So I took all the classes, and I'll tell you, of all of the law that they make you study, taxation is the most convoluted and the most voluminous. There are
Mhm.
3 separate courts that manage all the tax stuff. Codes change all the time, almost every day. Today in DC, they're voting on stuff that's going to impact the code. It's always changing, volumes and volumes and volumes of tax code. So if you hire somebody that it's their job to know what those are, the changes that come up that might impact you negatively or positively. If it's negative, you can plan around it usually. If it's positive, you want to take advantage of those opportunities. So I would hire somebody, spend a little extra money, hire somebody that knows what they're doing and they're up on all that. Take it out of your brain So you can go develop and be creative and do what it is that you do in your business.
There's a lot of things that we overlook as business owners, especially those that are starting out, right, and trying to prepare. But how can proper tax planning help business owners save money?
Well, there's a lot of different taxes that we're planning for or against. So, income tax, gains tax, payroll tax, import tax, transportation, maybe cost of goods sold, if that impacts your business, property tax, municipality tax, county tax, state tax, federal tax, right? So, you want to understand your options that that can help you save. So it's like, where you buy your supplies, if you have supplies, right? Does that make a difference? Where you hire your employees. I happen to have employees in different states, and some states are a lot less expensive to have employees in. Where you domicile your business, where you have your space to manufacture, where you have your office space to meet clients. Delegating to a professional all of those duties, all of those responsibilities, all of that knowledge, if it's not in your lane and it's not natural for you to be able to do that well, have somebody else do that. And that's going to save you money. In the long run, it will save you money. Even if it costs a little on the top, it'll make a difference down the road.
So I'm going to ask you also, now that we're in tax preparation or tax mode or tax panic, whatever you want to call it, for some of the folks that are just trying to get things going, what are some essential documents that a small business owner should gather and have for the tax season?
Well, if you've already been operating a business, hopefully you're done, because the 15th these are due unless you've extended. Pardon me. So I would say you need to have at least, if you don't have a bookkeeper pulling all this together, you need your P&L, and I like to see the summary of it and then the detail of it. That's your profit and loss. All the money that came in, all the money that went out, and all the places that it went to and came from. Your balance sheet, what you started with, what you have now, your 1099s, your 1098s, that's what you've earned, the interest you've earned, dividends, all that stuff, all the payroll documentation. If you're 1099ing people, if you have all of your payroll paperwork, that's kind of a chunk if you've got several employees or many employees. Any retirement program records that you have, if you have a SEP or a 401k, all of that, you want to make sure you're compliant with all those things. If you don't have a manager handling that for you or a third party person handling that, I think if it's a small business and you're kind of new at this, looking at last year's returns can help you. It's like, oh yeah, I remember we had that deduction, or yeah, we can't take that this year. That can help. Of course, all your receipts, you want to have any donations, charitable donations that you made through your business, that can help you too on taxes.
Folks, and thank you for just joining us. If you're just stepping in, which I see folks are coming in, we're talking today about business finances and how to prepare for taxes for the small business community. So if you're watching this or you're new to the show, please make sure you also follow Judy at judycopenbarger.today. And if, of course, you know a business owner, by all means, please share this episode, because we got a lot of great content for the remaining of the show. So with that said, let's talk about, here's a tip, guys. You guys need to take some notes on this. What are some common business tax deductions, right, that many people overlook? Like, we don't think about it until it's like, man, I should have just put this on there too. That could have qualified.
Yeah. Well, charitable donations, you don't think about it. You have an employee that is selling, something for the Little League, and you say, here's the extra $100, for uniforms or whatever. You're always in our world. We're always in a community where people are doing things with the community, with causes that they care about. And you just kind of do it. Like, you might just Venmo, or you might go on Facebook, and it's like, here's a donation, or, there's several apps for that kind of thing. So charitable, go back through your records and go, yeah, I did give this and that. And I did drop off some donatable items, in-kind items. It's like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. Get a receipt for that. In California, with the tax rates that we have, it's for most people, between 40 and 50% of everything. So every dollar you donate, 40 or 50% of that, the government will pay for if you keep accurate records and you write appropriate expenses off like that. So charitable things, think about that. Development for staff and personnel. If you're doing things for them, like buying them books, sending them to classes, transporting them to go to classes to learn how to do things, for trainings and things like that, make sure that anything you're doing for development, if you pay for them to go to school, some of that's going to be deductible. Transportation is often overlooked. all the little things. Even if you drive to the store to buy paper clips for your office supplies, right? There's probably a small deduction there, and they all add up over 365 days times how many people that work with you. That can really add up. And then many people overlook the idea of home office space. So if you have a designated area in your home that is your office where you work from home, and a lot of people have since COVID, right? They have a home office. Make sure that you're taking the appropriate deductions for that. And the way to calculate it, check with your accountant, but the way to calculate it as an overview is you take the square footage of your home, you take that extra bedroom that is now an office, the square footage of that, and divide it. So maybe it's it's 7% of your home, right? Or let's make it easy, 10% of your home by area. You take 10% of all your home expenses off. That's a deduction. The utilities, the yard work, the mortgage, maybe it's rent if you're paying rent, maybe it's your taxes, your insurance. 10% of all that could add up to be quite a bit. The rule is, though, it needs to be a real office space or a real business space. Some people use part of their garage for their business. If they have products, if they're, shipping out or something like that. If it's designated, that's all you're using that space for, take that deduction. That's often overlooked by folks.
So there's a comment on here that somebody wants to hire you as their tax expert because they're not happy with theirs.
Call me. I'll give you some ideas for sure.
All right. So another easy one that I think that folks overlook is how can business owners just keep track of expenses throughout the year, right? Obviously, receipts is one of them, but is there any other ways that you can suggest for business owners?
Yeah, some people still keep paper receipts or scan them and all of that. I think, boy, use your phone. There's apps on your phone that you can use, take quick pictures. I use a lot of my phone for most of my businesses, actually. So I take pictures of things, even, and I was audited many years ago, several years in a row. I got a lot of money back by going through the records and saying, here's this, and, prove it. And so that's record keeping. I learned a lot from those experiences. What I do now, because one of the things that came up, I did a lot of training around the country, go to training, go to, sales training, product training, learning how to hone my craft. And a lot of people do that. So if you're in a profession, there's conferences that you go to keep up your licenses and your degrees and all that kind of thing. So my experience was they were like, you can't write that off. I think when you went to Nashville, you were there to goof off. It's like, no, I was actually there for a conference. What I do now by habit and out of processes that I created years ago, probably 15, 20 years ago now, is I take a picture of the conference room that I'm in, even if it's a big ballroom. I take a few pictures of the signage. I take a picture of me with my name tag on. You get the lanyard and the name tag usually. I take pictures of all that. Now I have a picture record that is recorded. I was there. Here's what I was there doing. If I'm speaking, I always get pictures or selfies on stage, right? Here I am. I did that. I really was paid to be here. I get all that record. My staff also knows all of my travel records, they bundle. So if I have an audit and they say, what were you doing in Nashville? Well, I had to Uber to the airport. I bought some breakfast there and I grabbed a couple of waters for the trip. And then I flew, there's my plane trip. And then I rented a car, all of that. They're all bundled by conference or by event. And if I'm speaking or if I'm attending something. So they're bundled. So if they go through travel and they say, what's this? You had a $4,000 plane ticket. Well, I rarely would do that, but you have this big ticket. What's that for? It's for this. Here's the conference. Here's the proof. Boom. So in 30 seconds, I can say, here's everything associated with that. Don't bother me. So if you just make it a habit to do that, it just takes a few seconds. I do it every time. You have that record. Use your calendar. Keep notes in your calendar. On this day, I met with this person. On this day, I went to the store and bought that. On that day, I went to Home Depot, to get some supplies for the outside, whatever it is. And then if you have a more complicated business and you don't yet have a bookkeeper to do that, use your staff. You can come in every Monday or every Friday or whenever you meet with your people and say, here are my receipts for the week. Here's what I did for the week. Here's my calendar notes. And have them put it in one place. So when you need it, if there is an audit or you have questions, you go back and it's all in one spot. And you're not spending your whole weekend or maybe several weekends pulling all that together for someone to look at. Just plan ahead, have a process for it.
You just spoke about some amazing ideas of things that you don't think about when it comes to conferences related to business and all that stuff too. As I'm planning future conferences, that's one that I'm definitely going to take pictures and
Awesome.
document it for sure. I mean,
So
it's something so simple that we don't think about, right? And it can just save you so much time and headache. So I appreciate you sharing that for us too. And
And I
folks,
love
if
that
you
you oh, I'm sorry, but I love what you just said about it saves you time and headache.
Mhm.
Stress, reducing stress from all the details. And if you're not an administrator, by trade and you're not a planner and all this is just what do I keep and how do I keep and I don't know how to do it and I never saw anybody record keep before and it's so stressful. That's going to take your brain power and keep you from being able to do what it is you do. Meeting the people you need to meet, getting the deals you need to do, negotiating what you need, creating new products or new content, right? If you're thinking about all this stuff and it's stressing you out and keeping you up at night, you're not going to be able to be optimal in what it is that you started your business for in the first place. So either delegate that or put systems in place and just do that. Make life easy on yourself.
So I'm going to ask you one last question, I think, because we're getting close to the end of the show. But I want to have you talk briefly about what are some simple tax saving strategies like small business owners can implement, like right this moment, this second.
Wow. If you are in business by yourself or for yourself and it's just you and maybe, your spouse or, a couple of family members or something, I would say put as much as you can away into a retirement program, a SEP or a simple or a solo 401k. That's going to help you not have to pay so much tax now. It'll free up dollars for operating, for capitalizing your business. It'll also help you save for your next season, right? When you either sell your business or it goes away or you leave it to your kids or whatever. So retirement programs are a great way to go. If you are staffed and you got several employees or many employees, consider a retirement program for everybody, benefits that can help bring down your payroll taxes and give them extra perks. So they're like, I love it here. Why would I ever leave? But they're also being compensated in ways that are not money ways. And anytime there's money coming in, money going out, if there's not a viable expense for it, now you have the extra tax bill. So take advantage of those benefit programs and retirement programs that can really make a big difference on your bottom line.
All right, folks. And remember, if you're not following Judy, do so at judycopenbarger.today. And we are at the tail end of this show, and you guys usually know what that means. I guess today's our Money Truth Tax Challenge. I guess we'll call it, right? Let's see what you got for us.
Entrepreneur tax challenge, business owner tax challenge for sure. I would say it's a little decision tree. The first thing, if you've already delegated it to all of this, tax responsibility and record keeping to someone in-house, that's great. If you haven't, I would say you need to decide first, do or delegate. Am I going to hire somebody, bring in someone who is, maybe offsite, a fractional CFO, a bookkeeper? They're not that much money if you find the right people, really know what they're doing. So either delegate to someone who knows what they're doing or put systems in place that you're going to do or delegate. If we go down that road and you need to hire somebody, go do it this week. Find somebody, interview a couple of people. If you're going to do it, I would make a list, maybe 5 items of what you need to do to keep proper record keeping. And maybe today inspired you a little bit. It's like, oh, I should probably track that. Or that might make life easier when I, look for at the end of the year to get ready for my 11/20 tax return. So that might be helpful. I think that's a good challenge for you, right? Either upgrade who you have doing it, delegate that, or get really fine-tuned on the systems that you're going to be doing this year to get ready for the end of the year. So this time next year, you're going, yay, let's just go enjoy the rain. Let's get the umbrellas and go dance in the rain because we're not stressed about business tax returns at all, ever.
That's awesome. There's your challenge, folks. So make sure you let us know if you have any other questions or additional things that come up, or even any other subjects that you want Judy to touch on. And remember that we are here every Tuesday morning at 8 a.m. with the replay on Thursdays at 8 p.m. And make sure that you share this episode and also follow Judy at judycopenbarger.today. So, Judy, any last parting words?
Yeah, we're a month away from personal tax returns being due. So even if you don't have a business or if your business tax returns are long done, make sure you're ready for your personal returns because that date's coming up pretty quick. You've got this.
All right, folks, until next time, stay dry out there.